How can you serve somebody
good.
else without being where you need to be first, right?
We use Instagram as your portfolio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you look at it in that sense, it's not like so much about you, it's more about your content, and I let the content speak for itself.
Yeah.
Big time.
And you can see
love
that.
Welcome to the Deals in Aloha podcast, where we talk about real estate deals, hope to leave a lasting impact with our audience, and of course, spread aloha.
Gee.
You can find us on Instagram and all social media platforms at Kamohai and Tristyn. Let's go.
Let's go. Today is kind of cool because we have Janessa and Jamey Marcos, which is from like Hanabata days.
Hanabata
way back.
days.
Right?
Way back.
Okay, so you guys are originally from Hawaii, but then you moved to Florida and then we reconnected through real estate, which is kind of wild,
Yeah.
right?
Very
It's
wild.
insane.
So Janessa and I, geez, how do I explain this? So like we went to the same church.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yep.
your mom actually worked at the church.
Yeah.
And so I went to school and church there. Yeah. And I think it was from like,
Gosh.
I don't even know. It was all grade school up
Yeah.
until like 8th grade. I think.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
crazy.
It was insane. We go way back.
I know. It's so crazy. Okay. So, but I want you guys to introduce yourselves and just like, what's the name of your business? Who are you? What do you do? And then we'll kind of get into like the nitty gritty specifics.
I'll let you take care.
Good.
Your turn.
We are the Marcos is our Instagram, so that's kind of our handle. Our business is actually Our Wonderful Life, so that's
it.
why
Nice.
we have the owl.
Love it.
And we were gonna make that a thing, but then we just started, like, Janessa actually started doing her thing with brand marketing and campaigns. So that turned into We Are the Marcos because a lot of chain of unfortunate events, which made us what we are today. So
It's usually the case, right?
typical for
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, I believe,
Totally,
you know?
totally.
And then once we got that kind of on cruise control somewhat, at least we knew what direction we wanted to go with brand marketing. We started a coaching program for other people that wanted to become content creators. And then we, at that same time, I've had always wanted to get into real estate. I had left my W-2 to do content creating and decided this is a good time to do it. You know,
Yeah.
Janessa has her thing. She's on cruise control. And so I made that leap into real estate as well. So
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. So
Yeah.
were you guys always entrepreneurial? Did you have like, so you said W-2 job. What was your lead up to, like, how did you find brand marketing?
Yeah.
So like I started it like 4 years ago, and like I actually started like just doing Amazon reviews
Oh,
because
no way.
I was like on social media. I was like, I want free stuff.
yeah.
So I did
Yeah.
Amazon reviews for like ever, and then because we always were into photography, I started just using my camera more, and because of I guess how I created content for the brands, more brands started to come to me and saying, hey, we'd like you to work with us, blah blah. So that continued on. Jamey was in the shipyard forever. So for far as my side, I always had that entrepreneurial
for sure, yeah.
spirit.
Like,
That was
yeah.
always her.
That
for
was
sure.
always me.
Always, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was to, you know, we committed to her staying at home with our kids.
Right.
So that was, she always wanted to have something for herself to contribute to the family. And I, even though I always told her there's no need, like just, you know, like raising the kids is hard, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's cool. And she just wanted something for herself. And so I totally got it. I think she did like oils, like the
Yeah.
doTERRA oils.
No, wait, like
Was that the
multi-
first-
That was, yeah,
multi-level
Yeah.
marketing
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, I
Nice.
did like the whole. I had an Etsy shop and everything.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I did that, and
It was just
whatnot.
sell one thing after the next. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I feel like you made jewelry for a little while.
I made
like
jewelry for a
sea
little
glass
bit.
things. Like it was like
Yeah, yeah.
anything and everything. And I always thought it was cool, but I
Yeah.
always wanted her to turn it into something like a business,
Right.
so that she could be proud of, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so content marketing, I think, allowed us to rejuvenate the photography side
Yeah.
of things and just kind of bring that back, because as we were raised, we were always around really good photographers, like
Oh, no way.
Surfer Mag
yeah.
people. Like one of them is doing National Geographic stuff now.
Wow.
And it's
That's
just
crazy.
like,
That's cool.
we were always intimidated by that,
Yeah.
right? And people were like band photography, you know, like touring with bands and stuff. And so we were so intimidated by it, we just left it alone.
I think a lot of it
Yeah.
was imposter syndrome too.
Yeah.
sure.
You know, we just felt really overshadowed. Like there's all these talented people. How can like we go out and do it? It wasn't until we moved to Washington from here first in 2015, and that's when we really kind of dove into it more.
Yeah, I think people showed some appreciation for it, and we were like, we're not that good because we had that imposter syndrome, and like,
Yeah.
we'll help you if you want, like, but it's not really our thing, and we were actually trying to stay away from it because of our mindset,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like how we were
totally.
raised.
Yeah.
And then it just started like, well, we can help people where we're at, and that started
Exactly.
making the difference. Like,
Right.
wow, these people are asking, so let's just do it, right? And she started like, hey, I could do this brand thing for Amazon. You
Yeah.
know? And we're like, okay, cool.
I
you know?
literally had to Google everything because I didn't even know. And then brands started asking, "Oh, what's like your rates or how do you charge for this?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna Google.
Let me
it."
Google
I gotta
real
figure it
quick.
out.
Yeah.
Like what?
Figure it out.
What is
Yes.
the?
But
Yeah.
that's how it always goes.
Yeah.
I love that because I feel like a lot of people, entrepreneurs just in general, certain ones feel like they need to know everything before they take the step. But the
Yes.
true actual success is if you take the step and then you kind of figure it out as
Absolutely.
you go, right? 'Cause
Yes.
that's kind of what stops a lot of people is like, oh, I need to know everything. But like, you're never gonna know everything. You know what I
No.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
you learn better when you're just jumping in for it.
it's almost
you
like
know?
Yeah.
when you have to figure it out, then
Yeah.
you will. It's
Yes,
just the
yes.
same concept of like when you're in a mentorship, we're all in the same mentorship. You're not going to retain the information until you 1000% need to pull it out of your pocket and
Yeah.
use it. You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's the same concept. So
Yeah. I think too, a lot of people struggle with that imposter syndrome. I think that never goes away really
Yeah.
either.
No,
You know,
never.
like I feel like we're because as entrepreneurs we're always leveling up and we're trying to get into the next room, right? And
Right.
normally all the people in that room are very big, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that you should lean into that feeling, right? So like
Yeah.
if you're feeling that way, you need to change your frame of mind and look at it as, okay, I'm in the right room now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you can turn that from a negative to the positive, but how did you guys kind of like get past that initial imposter syndrome?
I think it was like our movements throughout our life together. You know, we had problems getting pregnant as well, and we worked together through that.
Yeah.
Audrey was our in vitro baby, and then we did the move to Washington. That was actually sight unseen.
No
I had
way.
only
That's
I had
crazy.
only
Like,
been to
literally-
Washington.
like a Zillow
Yeah.
listing. I was like, "Yep, that's the one."
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, it was for real. Like the only time I had ever been to Washington was for the inspection of that house.
Crazy.
And I
That
went
we've
for like
never
3
even
days.
visited.
No way.
And I was all wide eyed and I was like, okay, let's do it. This is the
Yeah.
one, you know?
Yeah.
And we
Cool.
got there and we just were like, what did we just do?
Yeah.
So, like you were saying, like you have no choice because
Yeah.
you made the decision to move.
Yeah.
Right.
And now you got to figure it out,
Yeah.
right? So
Totally.
we knew, like, okay, we left our entire network. We need to build a network.
Yeah.
So we have to go, like, meet people, which
Yeah.
I'm an introvert. And, like,
Yeah,
I was
same.
like,
Hi.
how do I talk to people? Like,
Yeah.
we go to church and she's, like, shoving me, like,
Yeah.
you
I'm
need to
like,
talk to
"Go,
them.
go say
Yeah,
hi."
They look
You're
like people
like,
we'd hang out with. And I
That's
was like,
cool.
okay, you know.
Yeah.
And then when we joined Pace's group too, that was a huge thing for me because she's like, well, I don't know. You got to go do what you need
Yeah,
to
this
do.
is what you
Yeah.
want to do, babe,
And,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I
Come
went
on.
to the golden ticket event thing that he
Nice.
had
Oh,
there.
yeah, I
in
remember
Arizona.
that.
And I was just like you said, in the room,
Yeah.
like,
You're like,
who?
oh my gosh.
What?
Yeah.
Like, I recognize you from Instagram.
Right,
Like, is that
right.
okay to even
Yeah.
say that?
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of it. Just move forward. Like,
Love that.
do the next step, right?
I think like getting comfortable with being uncomfortable
Love
is
that.
like
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
the biggest
That's
thing,
what it is.
right? With
That's honestly what it
entrepreneurship.
is.
Like
Yeah.
you're never going like if you stay comfortable, you're never gonna grow.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you put yourself in a very uncomfortable situation, things happen because you're pushing yourself outside of your limit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Things will happen. It's like
Yeah.
Totally.
That's it in a nutshell. And I think you said too what you said earlier about the imposter syndrome and like, but we can meet people where we're at right now, and like just doing what you know how to do and not being like, well, I've heard about this, this, and this, but like just focusing on the skill set that you currently have will like, I think, help get people past that imposter syndrome too. Just like, I think for us in real estate, we've hit a level of success, but there's still so much we haven't done.
We're babies.
Yeah.
I mean, we feel like we're babies, you know what I mean? But that's that imposter syndrome,
sure.
you know what I mean? But if we just focus on the fact that, yep, we know how to fix and flip houses, we know how to do some rental stuff, we know how to raise private capital. If we just focus on that skill set, I feel like you're going to realize on your own that you're actually not an imposter and maybe you do know some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me ask you, because you had the W-2, right? Your wife was always the entrepreneurial one, right?
Yeah.
And so you were the W-2 guy. How was the leap from W-2? Because dude, I mean, I know it was scary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But for you, explain that. And how did that happen?
Yeah, well, why did you leave that stability?
Yes.
All of the
Was
benefits.
the question from everyone I knew, you know?
Yeah.
And so like that forces you to like question what you're doing, I think, you know,
Totally.
like every night I was like, what am I doing? And I think I just trusted my instinct to provide for my family more than like my comfort,
Yeah.
you know? Like I knew I was comfortable. I knew we would be fine. But I also knew ever since I started that career, like there's something more, and I just didn't know how, you know?
Yeah.
So I think I felt like at that point, this was my time because I finally started trusting my ability and my capabilities. Even if I didn't know my ability yet, I knew I would be capable to learn it because of what I had gone through. So like, I went through this, we had to rebuild our network. Then we moved to Florida, like, we're jumping into entrepreneurship. Like, how do we do that? But then I still had that scarce mindset and got a job over there.
Yeah.
Hated every minute of it, you know,
Right.
because it's like taking the blue pill, but then you're trying to go back. Right? It was
100%.
like, and then it just made me more angry. So I was just like,
Yeah.
no, I can do this and I have to just go. Right. And her being supportive, like,
He'd
all
come
the way.
home
Like,
all the time complaining.
Yeah.
And I was just like, every single day, I was like, just quit.
Yeah.
I was like, just do it. And he's just like, yeah, but what about mine? I was like, don't worry about it.
yeah.
We'll figure
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
That's exactly
balancing
it.
the responsibility though was kind of my thing. Like, how to, like, I don't care what anyone says already. I was already to that point, but then balancing, like, being responsible about it, like being able to
Totally.
provide for your family. So find the way. I might not be able to quit just yet, but in my mind, I was already
Yeah.
quitting.
You were
Like,
already quitting.
I'm done with this.
Yeah.
It's the next season. Like, let's go.
Because you're
Right,
like
right,
a realist. I'm
Yeah.
super optimistic. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always feel like stuff is going to happen and it's always going to end up working out.
Okay, so
That's
you're
me.
him.
You're me.
I knew.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
100%.
I'm like, yeah, I believe everything's gonna work out, but how?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
figure,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I'm always like,
Yes.
it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
it's all right. Like,
No,
we're
it's-
good things happen. We're gonna be
Yeah.
okay. Like, I always see the ultra positive, and I think it's actually healthy balance
That's
with
what I was
us,
gonna
right?
say.
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that
100%.
she like brings me back down a little, but and we meet in the middle
Yeah.
normally,
That's
you know?
like- yeah.
I think if we were both like the ultra positive people, we would like never get anything
Yeah.
done. You
Collateral
know what I mean?
damage.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then
Dangerous.
the opposite,
Yeah.
the other way, right? Like
Yeah.
if we're both conservative, then we wouldn't be where we're at
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a blessing, and I'm 100% like with you. Her support had to
Yeah.
be like everything. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because you already had like a bunch of other people like, what are you doing, Jamey?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're throwing everything away. You're not gonna
Yeah.
be able to take care.
Yep.
And then if your wife was doing that too,
Yeah.
dude,
I mean,
it's
you
like,
wouldn't have taken the leap.
Yeah.
For
at
sure.
all. You
No
wouldn't
way.
be where
Yeah.
you are
No
today.
way.
For
So-
sure. I feel like we can relate to that in a
Big
lot of
time.
ways. I mean, we closed down his shop, and I mean, it was still entrepreneurial. You were still the boss, but it was still a steady W-2 income. Was it a ton of money? No, but it was still steady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we shut that down, I was like, okay, what now? Like,
Right.
and I'm like, real estate.
I mean, that's the scariest thing is especially when you have children,
Yeah.
is like, okay, you know,
not just
have all of
you.
these
Oh,
like
yeah.
dreams and aspirations, but like, how am I going to provide right now?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I know that
Yeah.
this will play out in the long term. So like
Yeah.
sometimes it takes staying where you're at while building everything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
Yes.
you get to that point and then you make that decision
Yeah.
and then boom. You know what I mean?
That's exactly to the point what I was doing when I just kind of like hated my job in Florida.
Yeah.
I felt like I stepped in the mud puddle of my career, and I was like, but my commute was like 50 minutes each way.
Oh, wow.
And all it was audible,
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
So the more I learned, the more my mind expanded, and
Yeah.
like I got closer and closer to the edge of that leap. And then when I told Janessa like this is it, it was more of like it's time. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. And
Yeah.
like it wasn't like I know everything. It was just I know that this is the time to take that leap. So let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I love
So,
that.
yeah.
I mean, that's
Never stop learning. Like that's like
Never.
our
100%.
never stop learning.
well,
Yeah.
and it's like it's really indicative of your mindset and how you feel on a day-to-day basis, because when you're not consuming uplifting entrepreneurial mindset educational stuff, like you feel it.
Oh,
You're not,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm speaking from experience. Like if you're not consuming that kind of stuff, then you're not going to get that type of output either.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I
sure.
mean?
And it's the same like who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, I mean, going into entrepreneurship, you realize how vital those types of people are in your life, in your growth. And
Right.
it's like that community is so strong when
Yeah.
you have people there lifting you up. You know, it's pretty
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. Super
Totally.
powerful.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I want to talk a little bit about your brand marketing business.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because
this
I
is
know,
cool
like,
because we
we're-
don't have this on podcast.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel like we're in a day and age where a lot of people want to like make money off their phone kind of
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That thing. So I'm interested in like, you talked a little bit about how you got into it. What is it? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, so basically, I am a content creator,
Yeah.
and there's a difference between a content creator and an influencer.
Yes.
Now, an influencer obviously like relies on influence, right?
Their
With
following.
numbers,
Yeah.
yeah, the followers, like that's the
Numbers.
biggest thing. Content creator more focuses on the type of content that you're creating.
Yes.
And that's really what we do. I would say like over 70% of the stuff you don't see on our Instagram because it's directly to the brands. And we do everything from Facebook ads, YouTube ads to, you know, user generated content, unboxings. Like we do all of that.
Nice.
It's all service based.
yeah, it's
too,
all
is the
service-based, yeah.
another difference with between influencers and
Yeah.
content creators. Like influencers, they would have to guarantee numbers. Like we
Yeah.
have this much of a reach. We get
Right.
this many likes, this many
Yeah.
clicks, and whatever.
Yeah.
We don't sell any of that
No.
stuff. We don't promise any of it. We're literally saying we can create this content for you, whether it be photo or video,
Yeah.
captions, right?
Right.
Our lifestyle even is
Yeah.
part of that package
Totally.
because we can capture our kids in a candid moment,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
And that's
Yeah.
a rare
Yeah.
skill. So
Yeah.
we
Totally.
package that and we give it to them, and that now is
Yeah.
content we've
What
created. the
what we
content for them.
guarantee is the content that we create, not the, you know, traffic that it causes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
the brands can go and use that on all their other social media
Right,
feeds,
right.
and then it goes from there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that because I feel like it's super, super needed if you are a business trying to do any form of marketing, and then
Yeah.
it's just authentic.
It really is. I love it, and like we coach too. Like we like other creators who want to do what we're doing because
Yeah.
so many people are frustrated with, oh my gosh, Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, don't rely because that platform could go down at any second.
What happens
Yeah,
if
what
that
happens
happens?
is-
Exactly.
Yeah, or you lose your account.
Exactly.
Right?
Or
So-
lose my
Yeah.
account.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. You get hacked and
Exactly.
deleted,
Oh
right?
my god!
Exactly.
Yeah. So
But I think that's cool because what you guys do has substance, right? Like
Exactly.
you're not in it for just money. Like
Yeah.
you're in
Right.
it because I'm imagining because I know like how you guys are. like you have to vibe with the brand,
Yes.
right? Like it
Yes.
has to be a good
Absolutely.
fit for you
Right.
guys.
Right.
You're not just taking on anything because it means something to
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You believe in the product.
Yeah.
You like
Yeah.
the company and what they stand for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that we learned differently from when I had my original account to
Yeah.
the We Are the Marcos one is building that relationship with
Right.
that brand. And like, man, that's such a solid thing when you go beyond like prices
Yeah.
and you look at the relationship and you see like other people's like needs.
Yeah.
That's where it's
Yeah.
at.
Let's talk
Right.
a little bit about relationships, because I feel like relationships are the basis of like everything
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But
Really
like
is, yeah.
we can talk about it with real estate for sure, but like with you guys, what does that relationship like leading with that kind of a value, what does that do for your guys' business?
The biggest thing for us has just been repeat business, because
Yeah.
people want to
yeah.
work with people they can trust, people they can rely on.
Right.
And when you have the chance to prove that to somebody, right? And that's part of that relationship. It's a risk on our part to say, hey, we're taking this on maybe for free sometimes, maybe for a couple $100,
Right.
and we're going to put in the work that we know, and we're like relying on our ability that you're going to like it.
Yeah.
And when you do, because we've done our research on you,
Yeah.
and we know that we can create the content for you, now they can trust us after they've
Yeah.
seen that. And
Which
now
has
that.
opened up so many doors. We
Right.
did a campaign one time with this brand, and we worked with them so many times that they're like, hey, there's this other brand that we want to do a
Yeah.
giveaway with. Like, can we work together and like kind of collaborate with this other
Yeah,
brand as
yeah.
well? And this would open, and they had said this would open the door for you to have a
Nice.
relationship
With
with
this brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sure did.
Referral,
Like,
yeah.
right after
Love
that, we
that.
ended up
Yeah.
doing 3 more campaigns with the other brand.
That's
Just
so-
because of the
That's
other
super
brand
Right.
introduced us.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's
Love
like the
that.
power of like, you know, building their relationships. That's what we're all about. I love
Yeah.
it so
Yeah.
much.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It's so important. I think people underestimate that and they just focus on the money.
Yes.
When they're what people don't understand is they focus on like the here and now versus
sure.
a
Yeah.
long-term play, a long-term vision, a long-term goal.
Yeah.
That if you focus on the relationship and you focus on the long-term goal, the money comes, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In
Yes.
abundance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus trying to squeeze every
Yes.
ounce out of this
Yeah.
one situation.
Right.
And it's the same with real estate
Yes.
and properties and all this stuff. You know what I mean? But you got to look at the big vision, the long term goal.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it was the same with the campaigns we started teaching our clients. Like, if you're building a relationship, you can lengthen it, right? Your time horizons become longer, and you're like, what you can make from that relationship, like she said, it's a referral.
You
and
10x
then,
it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like, okay, they
exactly.
can only afford to pay me $200 a month because they want it spread across multiple different content creators. So hire me for 10 months. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
whatever, we'll
Yeah.
do that. And then I'll go get 10 more campaigns the exact same way.
Yeah.
Where
exactly.
everyone is saying, well, I'll take nothing less than 250, and we're like, well, why not? Well, give it to
yeah.
me then.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
I'll do
take it.
10
Yeah,
of those.
yeah.
You know,
They
this
wait
month.
around for that big ticket item
Right.
because, and then they want a nickel and dime them for every little thing. And I'm like, you think the brand's gonna want to come back to you because
Yeah.
of that?
Like,
no.
okay, great, you got the price this time,
Yeah.
but that's, you're done after
Yeah.
that.
And you're
You know what I
done. Now
mean?
what?
Yeah.
And
Start
we've
all
seen
over.
it so many
Yeah.
times. I'm just like, oh man.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen it too because with our social media, as you can see, like we don't pump out tons of content every single day because we are more into the quality of our content and
For
sure.
creating it with other
Yes.
people and then
Absolutely.
putting out specific content.
Yeah.
And a lot of our friends that we started with at the same time, their accounts have blown up. And I know being in this situation where we're like, dude, why didn't our account blow up?
Yeah.
But you have
Yeah.
to remember that it's not about that.
Right.
It literally isn't
Yeah.
about that. And we've had so many people, especially with the road that we're going down to now. They're like, oh, you need to buy the bots. You need to get the blue check.
Yeah.
You need to do all these
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
because you need all these followers. I'm
Yeah.
like, no. I don't.
Perception versus
I don't.
like quality of relationship, you
Yeah.
know?
Exactly.
Totally.
Like, do I just want to put out like the perceived value in my business, or like, am I actually delivering a quality service and
Exactly.
people are coming back regardless of what you see?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
Right,
They try to follow trends and they try to do all this stuff, but that's not authentic. Same
No.
with that stinking blue check mark. I could go all day about that. Like you're wasting $15. Like,
Yeah,
what are you
you're
doing?
wasting 15
You know what I
bucks
mean?
on
Yeah.
that.
So I see both sides, you know what I mean? And I am all about authentic and staying true to yourself and the relationship, because like I said, the abundance will come when you actually go down that road.
Yeah.
You
For
know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
So one more thing on this brand marketing thing, because I'm so interested in it.
Well, we're a brand, we're a business.
Yeah.
I know,
You know what I
totally.
mean? Like
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
it. I see the other side of it, and I see the importance of content creation and
Yes.
putting
Right.
yourself out there in the right way.
Yes,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
because our audience isn't just real estate; it's just entrepreneurial, right?
Mm-hmm.
In general. So, what would you tell somebody that wanted to potentially get started in that space? I mean, I know we just told them, like, obviously the blueprint as far as like relationships and
Yep.
that
Like,
kind of
what's
thing.
the
But
first step?
yeah, what is like the first step?
Well, first
We
of all,
always
we
tell
do
You need
people-
to do
First of all, we do,
Amazon reviews.
yeah. Start at the bottom. No, I think it all comes down, like what we tell every single one of our clients. First call, everything is always about their bio. Because if you can't figure yourself out in a quick elevator pitch, you don't know yourself enough yet to be serving somebody else. So
Ooh,
how can you
that's
serve
so
somebody
good.
else without being where you need to be
Yeah.
first, right?
Love
we
that.
use Instagram
Yeah.
as your portfolio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you look at it in that sense, it's not like so much about you, it's more about your content. And I let the content speak for itself.
Yeah.
Love
Big
that.
time.
And you can see
love
that.
that.
Yeah, you could see that in the different levels of content creators we've been able to work with, and they're always like the lower count of followers. They're always the most concerned about, well, what about my followers? And we're saying like, well, what are you doing right now, right? Can you capture your kid in a candid situation, right?
Yeah.
Your family travels a lot. You're in these beautiful locations. You can offer that, right?
Yeah.
And like knowing that and then putting that into your bio, like traveling family, right?
Yeah.
Mother
Yeah.
of two, right? Like,
Yeah.
Totally.
and placing that in the bio, allowing people to see that as an elevator pitch. It's a tap on the shoulder, you know,
Yeah.
for a conversation. And like,
Totally.
this is who I am.
Yeah.
And we take the perspective of like inviting these brands into our life to participate rather than like, hey, I want to do something for you. Can we
Yeah.
collab? Can we collab?
Right.
It's just like, hey, we have this skill. This is how our family is.
Mm-hmm.
If this is something that would serve your brand, like we would like to invite you to participate in that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Love
these
that.
next few weeks we'll be in Hawaii, or these next few
Right,
weeks we'll be
right,
in
right.
North Carolina,
Yeah.
whatever.
Dude, that's
But it's
awesome.
also just like clear. Like if you look at our Instagram, like
Yeah.
the first, besides our name, the biggest line is, you know, we create, what was it? Oh my gosh, look at me. I'm like, have a brain fart.
Oh, welcome to my life.
Yeah, connect
Yeah,
people to
yeah.
brands that inspire adventure.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
kinda
like
it's
that.
super
Yeah.
clear,
Okay.
isn't it?
Well, okay, so you guys have a coaching program.
Yes,
Let's
we
talk
do.
about that.
How
like
do
what is
people- yeah.
what
Yeah.
is that?
Sell
how do people
yourself.
Find, yeah, how do people find you? Let's
So, yeah, we do coaching. We basically coach other creators to implement the same steps that we did to not have to rely so much on Instagram and really build relationships with brands so that they keep coming back for more. That is
Love
our
that.
step. We
Yeah.
do it. We do calls. We have a link in our bio on our Instagram, and they can sign up for a free discovery call, and that way we kind of see where they're at, where their goals are at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Jamie honestly takes over. I'm just like sideline cheerleader. Like
Yeah.
I do the intro because you
Yeah.
know he's kind of whatever. And I come in like, hey guys,
Energy
what's up?"
high.
What's
I would get lightheaded if I had to do all of that stuff.
And then I'm like, and here's Jamie. it's all
She's
business.
like,
from
And
there.
here's
you
the
should
business
smile more. It's
conversation.
like, my face is sore. Stop making me do
But
this.
he's so
that's
good.
funny.
That's why I leave it to him because
I
he
love
really
that.
is so good at like explaining and like
Yeah.
hearing their like situation. I get caught up. I'm like all over the place,
Yeah.
and here he is like super.
She's like,
organized.
just do the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Do
Love
it. Just
that.
do it. Take
Exactly.
the step.
Yeah.
Reach out to
Me.
the brand.
Yeah.
That's all we got here.
I know. Me too.
Oh,
I'm the
that's
same.
classic.
We're kind of the same way in that
Yeah.
point. I'm like the hey, and then can you talk?
Okay, you talk. I like that.
So what kind of people like decide to get coached by you?
Oh,
like are there
man.
is it just like a huge spectrum?
When did you launch it?
Actually, we did it.
Oh my gosh, we should talk about that.
Yes,
It
please
was
talk about it.
Super random.
Okay.
We were like, we should do a podcast, or we should do coaching, or we should make a course, right?
Yep.
Because everybody's kind of doing it.
Well, a lot
so
of
we
people
just
were
you
messaging us too.
should,
they were
though,
asking.
yeah.
They were
Yeah.
asking so much questions.
Yeah.
How'd you guys get into this? Or how'd you land this one? And I
Yeah.
was like tired of just
Going back
constantly,
and
on
forth. Yeah, yeah,
DMs. I was like,
yeah.
we need to do something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mentioned it to her, which is funny because I'm the one who mentioned it to her. And I was like, I heard this podcast, and I just heard that it's a good idea to start moving in a direction if people are asking for that. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, maybe we should consider it. And then so we said, let's just do Instagram lives,
Yeah.
and we'll
Yeah.
just invite people, and that'll tell us if there's an interest.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
people kept coming in and asking questions and whatever. I think it was maybe only our fourth one. And then we were like, yeah, so this will be something regular and whatever.
Yeah.
And then she was all of a sudden like, yeah, and we're starting a coaching program. And I was
on
like,
the live.
Okay.
Yes, love
What
that.
the heck, babe?
I was like, you said we should start.
Yeah.
You're just like, we got to talk about
Yeah.
that.
so
I just came
literally
out.
Well, it's
next day,
happening.
it was like, okay, learn MailChimp, learn
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
all of
All
these
the
different
things.
things. I was like,
That's
what? I don't even
classic.
know how to
Like within a week, we
Evergreen
just
course.
Yeah,
Yes.
we just like
Dude.
launched it, had our little form, and then we started getting calls. Like, oh shoot, like
This
we,
is
we started getting
happening.
emails, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is really happening.
Yeah,
this
Like,
is
I don't-
happening.
We don't even have an organization. Like, how are we gonna get this started?
I
We're like-
Yeah.
love that
That's so cool.
Yeah.
much. You
Yes.
have no
I
idea.
ask you that because we are in a similar situation on
Yeah.
the real estate side, right?
Mhm.
And over the last like year and a half, people constantly reach out and they're like, how did you do this? How
Yeah.
did you do that?
Yeah.
Do you guys have a coaching program? Do you offer education? Is there a
Mhm.
course? And so we're just like, okay, we'll do it in a little bit, or we'll do
Yeah.
it in the
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is there's never like
There's
a,
never
a
a right
good
time.
time to do
Yeah.
it,
But
right?
I
Like,
love
Yeah.
that you said that, and it resonates with me so much because every time we have this conversation of doing like a course or coaching or whatever, it was like, okay, but it has to be like legit. It has to be like so good. You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
just crinkle that
That's a-
paper and
that's a
throw
mind
it away
thing.
because
Yeah.
it's never going to be perfect and
Yeah.
you can improve it as you go.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
think what I found that's consistent with that exact thought is that like when you think that way, you actually just created the blueprint for what's going to happen. You just have to like do that first thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then as you're doing it, you're like, yeah, remember we had that conversation? We should turn it into this or that. And so right now we've been starting to think like our time is limited. We can only take on so many hour calls
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah.
Right.
because it's
Right.
not coursework. We hop on a call with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's,
It's
an hour
literal
call once
coaching.
a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So we wanted to do that specifically because I didn't want to keep having to update the course material on changing situations
Yep.
as fast as it's
and
changing.
and that changes
Yeah.
so quick.
Super
and that's
fast.
super
Yeah,
time
like it's
consuming.
happening
though.
real
Yeah.
time,
It really
switching.
is.
Yeah,
And this way
Crazy.
I can just convert the information. And so
Yeah.
we've been trying to figure out how to, we actually mentioned this to one of our clients, like, hey, would you like to become like a mastermind student? And like, we teach them the material for that first month. And so
Yep.
now we wipe our hands of that one
Yeah.
and we can move down the line, right? So
Dude,
we've been
that's
looking
cool.
at that. But
Yeah. That's super neat.
I love that. I love that you put a course together out that and you're teaching it in your way versus the influencer.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
can't.
Yeah.
I cannot.
So
like,
the-
there's nothing wrong with influencers
No,
now.
no, there's
Right,
nothing.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Not
right.
dogging on
It's just
influencers.
not for us.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, I think especially when we're coming from it from a business perspective,
Yeah. For
right?
sure.
And a brand perspective versus just like, hey, this is my lifestyle
Yeah.
and wanting to be
Yeah.
an influencer. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
why it resonates with us.
So when are we starting a?
Commit now.
I know.
Look at that.
Let's do it
Just
right now.
waiting for
Let's
her
go.
to say,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, so we're starting a coaching program next
1st.
week.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
We've taken a lot of the action steps. We just haven't pulled the trigger because there's always going to be an excuse. There's always going to be something that pops up, but
Yeah.
we just got to do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
There's definitely a need, and I think there's a need specifically here in Hawaii because
Absolutely.
there's not a mentorship program here now.
Yeah.
I know that there
Nothing
has
here.
been in the past, but not recently, and not the way that we would want to do
Mhm.
it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
I
you
mean-
want to create what you would want to see, like if
Yeah.
someone else was to. So
Totally.
I'm sure you guys have thought through, like,
100%.
we don't see this, we don't see that, and this is where we need to participate for sure.
Totally. I
100%.
mean, when we were first getting started and we were looking into like education, the only education for the things we wanted to do was on the mainland, right?
Mhm.
And what we found was that a lot of that stuff just didn't apply to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii is such a unique
Yeah.
cultural. We have a unique relationship with land
Yeah.
and the United States, and so there's a lot of nuances to the Hawaii market, more so than like whatever they were teaching. So
For sure.
I think, and one of our missions is to be able to help and empower local families and get local families to be able
Yes.
to stay home, right?
Yeah.
And to
I love it.
and there is ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
We're
I
Yes.
hate
living proof of
Yeah.
that.
I
Yeah.
hate
Yeah.
hearing
We both hate it so
I
much.
got priced out of
I
paradise
hate
Yeah.
hate it.
you know what I mean?
Yes,
And like
absolutely.
it's very upsetting. So one of the ways, you know, that we see ourselves being able to do that and give back is through, you know,
Coaching.
mentorship or coaching.
Sure.
I think
So-
that's
Sure.
awesome because it'll bring a positive light to investors because so much people, when they think about, you know, Hawaii and investing, they're like, oh, these investors are buying up all these kind of properties, blah, blah,
totally.
blah. But they don't understand like all the stuff that goes down
Exactly.
in it, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
So for you
The
guys coming
value.
in and
Yeah.
actually explaining that is huge, huge,
Yeah.
huge, huge.
I know.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
It will happen.
I know.
Yes,
Like
it will.
today?
It will.
It will.
happen.
I'm gonna text you. I'm
promise.
gonna text you next week. Did it
Did
happen?
it happen yet? Did it happen yet?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay,
Well-
so I want to know how many brands you're working with now, and
Oh my
like,
gosh.
is
Okay.
it like a ton?
I would say, off the top of my head,
Yeah.
maybe like 14
That's amazing.
right now.
That's
And
awesome.
then one is long term for like the rest of this year,
Amazing.
which is awesome. Another one is for the next 2 months, so that's awesome.
yeah,
Mhm.
big time.
Yeah.
And then, what kind of brands are you guys attracting? Is it all like lifestyle brands, or is it like what kind of brands are you guys attracting?
Oh man, it's really a
It's
range.
everything.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
everything.
And so
love
here was
that.
the
Yeah.
cool thing about it and why people like taking the coaching call, I feel like,
Right.
is that like we're just a family that like
Yeah.
we don't even travel, but
Yeah.
travel people like
Yeah.
contact us. Like,
Yeah,
can
yeah,
you
yeah.
showcase our tent or
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
you showcase our trailer stuff or can you showcase this alcohol? It's like
Oh my gosh.
everything.
Yeah,
Snack.
yeah.
We didn't pay for like a single diaper, baby snack, formula
No way.
since Levi was born.
I love that.
And so
That's
that
crazy.
was
I mean,
the
it
part.
has its benefits
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
And so that was the thing that we realized, like when we're looking for brands, it's
Yeah.
literally like, well, what do we need? Okay,
Yeah.
so how can we serve them?
Like
And
you
then
always,
we get that thing.
you always
Yeah.
hear people, you got to niche down. You know, you need to have this specific thing.
Yeah,
to
I hear
be
that.
really, really good.
Yeah.
And we're just like, no, you just have to showcase it in the way that goes to your lifestyle.
Right.
Like that's what we do.
Yeah.
It's like any product that we get from a brand,
Mm-hmm.
we immediately integrate it to what we're doing. So
There's
it comes off in a
definitely-
more
Yeah.
natural way
Yeah.
than
Right.
trying to push it
Totally.
so hard.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Right, but there's definitely a area for that
Yeah.
is niching down. Like you
Yeah.
guys are a
Yes.
brand,
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
so you
Yes.
are that niche.
Yes.
Yep.
And like for us, the way we've always planned picking up content creating was to go on the road. Like we want to do like at least a year-long thing.
That'd be so cool.
And so we
Yeah.
would
So
have to
cool.
move from working with brands to being a brand and then having that trip be
Yeah.
like sponsoring us as a brand.
Yeah.
Got it.
That is
So-
that is
Makes
our
sense.
goal.
It's a
We
different
totally want to
movement,
do it at
yeah.
least for 1 year. You know, we
That'd
want
be
to try and do
so
it. Like
fun.
we have a
Yeah.
little
That'd be so
off-roading
cool.
trailer.
Yeah.
Like that's what we love to do.
And just
is
jam. Yeah.
I
we
mean,
would
that'd be
we
super
would be
sick.
living vicariously
Through
through
you.
and we'd follow that journey.
Oh,
'Cause I think
totally.
it's something we
Yeah.
would want to do totally too. Like,
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So, what does your team look like now? Is it just you two?
It is.
I love that.
Yeah,
It's just
us.
us.
Yeah.
We did think about like possibly hiring on other people to help with it, but I'm like honestly for me, I'm so picky on even
Yeah.
how I edit my videos. Jamie's like, we could just like send it out. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
having anyone
Yeah.
edit the videos.
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
I want it to be. I'm super particular, so I'm like, it's
Yeah.
okay because we've gotten like this like
Rhythm.
rhythm down that I'm like we're doing fine.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good mix of passion and work, you know.
Yeah.
It's not one or the other being overwhelming where passion is so much so that we turn down work and we don't like I don't want to take that because I don't like values or this and that, right?
Right,
We
right.
found a way to appreciate every entrepreneur behind the brand
Love that.
Love that.
and see it as like they're like me, like
Yeah.
they're trying to start, they're trying to
Trying
get
to
their
make
name
it.
out. And
Yeah.
if I can
Yeah.
help in that,
Yeah.
then I get to help more people. you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's super cool. So how did you find real estate?
Yeah.
Because that's another piece to your
But
guys' story,
this
right?
is really cool because we haven't interviewed anybody that's doing two types of businesses. Usually it's just one business that they're hyper focused on, but you guys are doing two different really cool things, you know. And you're a married couple working together, which
Yeah, we'll talk about that after.
Yeah.
But was real or is there anything that's relatable between the two, and how did you like find real estate?
No, it was really just like we had talked the other night about our move off of the island.
Yeah.
And we reserved our place as a rental property. And so that's all I knew about real estate. Like it's wise to hold on to it.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I did that. We learned different methods of financing. So like we took a HELOC out on it,
Right.
refied it and all that type of stuff. And we were buying our property in Washington with that. So I really got into like the system of putting all those things together
Yeah.
and applying
Yeah,
it
yeah.
to buy real estate.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wouldn't mind doing this, one day. And then when it came to refinance out and stuff like that and have it not be covered and then have to pay to keep the property.
Yep.
And then it was not knowing what else I could do.
Yeah.
And I've always hated situations that I get myself in where I have zero options. And if that option was because of my lack of knowledge, then I was like, oh,
Even
I should
more
have
pissed. Yeah.
I should have
Yeah.
like learned something, right?
yeah.
And back then, we were kids, and when we left the island, we were just learning like how to survive,
Right,
like
right,
there
right.
was no thought like,
Yeah.
I
mean, I was like blown away that we were even able to still hang
To
on
do
to
that,
our condo
yeah.
and then buy a place in Washington. I was
Yeah.
like, we own
What?
dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it's that
Wild.
pride.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Big time.
Yeah.
Totally.
yeah, it was
yeah.
insane.
And
Yeah.
so that drive right there, like that anger in myself is what really drove me. Like one day I'm going to learn how to do this stuff.
Right.
And so, like I said, I always wanted her to have her thing. And so that's what we did. We just like, hey, you build it, I'll support you, whatever you got to do. I'm working my W-2, like just do what you need to do, make it legit, so you're happy with it. Once she was settled, it was like, hey, can I try real estate?
So you know how I
And so-
supported you?
Yeah, exactly. And she's just like, yeah, you should have been doing that a long time ago. And I
I
was like,
know.
she's just that type.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I said, okay, cool. I'll be doing the business and I'll learn them both. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
So,
But
So cool.
you remember we went to the thing.
oh
the
yes.
meetup,
So that crossover
which is like a circle.
from content to that,
Yeah.
and we learned how to come from the perspective of serving people. We had a bit of a crossover when we lost her account of income,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there
big
was
time.
1 month we only made like $1,000, and I'm just like, we have so much
What are
bills.
you doing? That's
You
not
know?
gonna cut
We're
it.
building a business that's expensive, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
so I went to work at like Home Depot, and I was just like,
The
I
night
don't care.
shift.
I don't want to go backwards. Like
Totally.
my boss was
Yeah.
like, we'll hire you back, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
So we went to. I worked at Home Depot the night shift, and I
Yeah.
told her 30 days. We need to recover our income. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And so we just set that in front of us. We were working our butts off, pitching to brands,
Yeah.
working with them, whatever. And we were able to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And like we weren't there yet, but we knew campaigns were going to be paying out that following month.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, hey, there's this meetup. And our mutual friend was there. April
Right.
was
Shout
putting
out
it
April.
on.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Shout out April.
She's amazing.
Yeah. And so I told her, I was like, hey, this is kind of a cutthroat thing. This is part-time work. Like if
Yeah.
I don't show up, they're probably just going to can me. Are we okay with that?
Right.
And she's like, yeah, who cares? and like, didn't you say we recovered? Like, I was like, yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Right.
so I told him that night, I was like, hey, I got something going on. I'm going to have to quit like tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so we showed up the next night at April's
April's
meetup.
thing.
thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And,
That's so cool.
and then that
And
same
then-
night,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, you guys do content. I need a creator. And we're just like, okay.
Okay.
All right.
We never
were
did
like-
social
That all
media
works
management,
out.
but
Yeah, we've never
we can
done
do
that
it,
before,
you know?
but we were
Yeah.
like super down. And it was so funny because we were there and I was just like, yeah, Tristyn. And she's like, oh my gosh, I love
That's
Tristyn.
so
And then I told her, I was like, yeah, we grew up together. She's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. She's like, I love you guys already.
Oh my God.
She's like,
That's
I
so
attract all the Hawaiians.
yeah,
She does. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's
He
funny.
does.
So
That
I
is
just
so
thought
funny.
it was just so wild, like how this world is so small
Yeah.
and like how it
Totally.
all
Isn't
connects.
it
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
insane.
Insane. I
So,
still get
yeah.
wowed on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your focus in real estate right now? Like, what is your main strategies? What are you trying to do?
Yeah. So wait, how long have you been doing it now? And then that. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually signed up soon after that meetup. I think it was around May. So it's almost been a year now.
Yeah,
Nice.
almost. Yeah.
And then that first upfront was just kind of getting things settled, knowing where all of my, getting all my ducks in a row, trying
Yeah.
to figure out, do I want to do lending stuff or
Right.
whatever. We were actually calling back a bunch of our funds that were invested in
Yeah.
syndications as
Yeah.
I had been learning about real estate.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And just, okay, invest, private lending, whatever.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it myself.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do it myself, I wanted proof of concept.
Right.
So I wanted to call those funds back and try and do it myself.
yeah.
I picked up a partner soon after that, like around July. And he had gone to a mastermind, like just came out of it, and he
Nice.
wanted to start his pipeline and get things rolling.
Yep.
So I said, yeah, I stay home. I can
Yeah.
at least afford a few hours a day and call.
Right,
you
right,
you
right,
just
right.
you got to do all the lists because I don't know how to do that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he put it all together for me and just started making calls, getting yelled at, and just like
Yeah.
learning,
Yeah.
doing the thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
And we made a quick jump to reaching out through on market properties after that, and
Yeah.
just going after the low equity list. And so that was towards the end of last year.
Nice.
And so that's kind of where we're at now,
Yeah.
just calling on those lists and hoping to close like a creative deal. That was one thing we didn't want to do. We weren't going to do fix and flips.
Yep.
I didn't have any of the network that, like, my father-in-law is a contractor,
Mm-hmm.
was a contractor here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't have that network.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
I know what it takes and all of the work
Yeah.
to do it. And I was
Yeah.
like, I can't do that over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So we let it go. And I said, if anything I'm going to pick up, it's going to be something creative.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working towards now.
Love that.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that too. Are you just planning on wholesaling? You want to pick them up and buy and hold?
I think it's going to be wholesaling
Yeah.
up front.
Yeah.
If the deal is really good, like the entry fee is super minor, cash flow is good,
Hold on to that puppy.
then we'll hold on to it. Yeah. Because there's so many different ways now. Like you have pad split, you have
There's so much.
group homes, right?
Yeah.
So many different ways of making money in that area. And so I think it'll be a lot of that. I think right off the bat, wholesale, get some capital going,
Yeah.
and then just throw that down on buy and hold.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like one of the biggest hurdles for people to get over is figuring out what that thing is in real estate, right?
Yeah.
Like real estate there's so many ways
Yep. Yeah.
to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so many different strategies and every one you can be ultra successful in,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of people get caught up in the beginning trying to do way too many things.
That's so
Right.
true.
And
Right.
if you're entrepreneurial, we have a disease, right? And,
Yeah.
and
You
we
go after
It
it.
is.
yeah, you want to
Yes.
We
do
wanna do all the
everything.
things.
Yeah,
All
like
the
all the
things.
things, and then
Yeah.
there's
Sounds
always new
amazing.
stuff
Yeah.
popping up, and
Yes.
you're like, what the hell? So
Yes.
yeah, it once you get hyper focused and very clear with where you want to go, I think that's when things really start to change and
For
pick up.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so true.
Somebody pointed that out to me just a couple weeks ago, actually. I started putting this thing in place for myself where I talk to at least 5 new people a week.
Yep.
So I
Love
get
that.
a different perspective.
Yep.
Just call either somebody in the group or I just
Yeah.
reach out or I put myself out there hey, if
Yep.
you need help with something,
Love
let me
that.
know.
Yeah.
And then when I talked to all these people, there was one person that said hey, I didn't want to do TC work because I was putting it off for so long and
Right.
didn't know if that's the business I wanted to be doing. And she was just once I said, stop fighting it. And I just went for it.
Yeah.
Everything else came clear.
Wow.
Okay, now I want to do TC, so I need to hire a few more people because my time is constrained here. And
Totally.
then I need to go after this, and I need to do, and everything just lined
Came
up.
into place.
You know,
Right.
Yeah,
So-
Yeah.
it's amazing. I wanted to pivot to your guys' dynamic as a married couple.
Because one of the biggest questions that we get asked all the time is how is it working with your spouse?
Because there's
right?
not a lot of us out there.
There
there's
are
really not.
Yeah.
We're a rare breed.
We are.
Yeah.
yeah.
Where you
Big
can
time.
still be happily married
Yes.
and work together.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're around each other all the time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's rare if we're like not together working.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yes.
how
Go
does
ahead.
it work
Well, you guys
for
have
you?
two different businesses
How?
too, so
Yeah.
that's
You go ahead.
And it's similar to us because you guys have kids. Like,
yeah.
It's,
I mean, I think it's like, it's an extra level because the kids are home too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I
Homeschool,
homeschool
yeah.
the kids. I homeschool them for like an hour in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's off doing his calls.
Uh-huh.
And then I go and I shoot whatever content. If I do need help, like with certain stuff, I'll be like, hey, you need to take a break and like help me do this.
Yeah.
totally.
Especially if it's like we really want, like it's a big campaign or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have our calls in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And then it's always me in and out of calls so I can check on the kids. So it's really crazy. I think how we do it, we're best friends. I mean, that definitely helps.
Oh,
Totally.
100.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
literally, I complain about every little thing to him, about all kinds of stuff.
Same.
Yeah.
And I'll complain about him to
To
him.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
And
There's
I
no
think
one else.
Him
Yeah.
to him to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
like I'll get really annoyed sometimes. I'm like, you're really annoying.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
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 But it's like I can't imagine life
That
without
was
him.
yesterday.
Yeah. I get it all the
You're
time.
so
Yeah.
annoying right
Yes.
now. Go
Yeah.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like go get me something to eat.
Like,
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
like
But
get
I
out of my
think-
face right
But
now.
I really think like communication. I
Yes.
think I like ever since we were married, there was one thing that we devoted and promised to each other was that every single morning we're gonna have coffee together. And it doesn't
Aw.
matter what time we wake up. Normally now that we have all the kids are older, but we wake up earlier than the kids and we sit down and we have coffee.
Love
Like
that.
that, like we have our coffee
And that was
talks.
even when I was working like 4:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
2:30 in the
Wow.
morning.
Like
she
I
would
would
get up
wake up
just to sit with
and
me
then I go
and
back to
talk.
sleep.
That's
And-
awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But
That
we
is
talk
cool.
about the day. We talk about the kids. We talk about what we have to do for the day, and
Yeah, whatever's bugging us.
whatever's bugging us. Like, and it's so healthy to
Yeah.
get all of that out. And it's like there's no like confusion about what's going on or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it helps.
I think for me, it came down to like just like supporting her in everything she's good at.
Yeah.
So she has that platform to stand on, you know, and just like, hey, I'm good at this. And understanding that perspective, I can't expect her to be good at what I'm good at.
Right.
You know, like,
Right.
like just talking through things or whatever. Sometimes it's just going to be an emotional mess and it's okay. And I have to like, she doesn't process things that way. So
Totally.
like, it's
Yeah.
a patience factor for me, but it's like, I have to just be good at it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
That's what I'm,
Oh my
that's what I'm good
gosh.
A
at.
clear sign of
Yeah.
our personalities. You go in our closet. Jamie's is all organized. Mine looks like a hoarder's closet.
Usually I'm not going to show you my
Yeah.
closet right
Class.
now.
Yeah, you should see
That's
us pack.
legit.
You should see us pack. I'm just like rolling shirts and she's just like,
It'll fit.
Yeah.
I'll make it fit.
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Just
that's
get a
so
bigger
funny.
bag.
That's
Yeah.
so
His
funny.
desk is all organized, and mine. I was like, it's organized chaos. I know where
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
leave me alone.
That's
But
so
the two
funny.
the two businesses thing too though for us like it was just more of the same. I feel like like because of like what we like to call that coffee hour.
Yeah.
We just get everything off of our chest.
Love that.
And we can continue on the rest of the day just like with the expectation that hey we'll talk about it in the
Yeah.
morning. That's fine. Just rest for now. Just get it off your mind.
Like even though like Jamie is more focused on the real estate,
Yeah.
I go to all of the meetups.
Yeah, you're still
and,
present.
Totally.
and I'm always there, and
Yeah.
I'm talking with her like,
Yeah.
oh, what are you guys into? Whatever, and they'll ask me, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, you gotta ask Jamie,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it's super cool. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like literally, I'm just
Yeah.
open. I was just like,
I love
honestly,
that,
I don't
though. Yeah.
know what you guys are talking about, but
Yeah.
it's super cool.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And we both respect each other for that presence.
Yeah.
Love
Right.
that.
Like I know she doesn't know anything about real estate, but I bring her into the conversation because of what she's doing.
But she's
Yeah.
that comfort, that
100%.
warm blanket.
Yeah.
to you,
Exactly.
you know what I
For
mean?
me, 'cause I'm the
Because
introvert.
ultimately, You're
Yeah,
the team.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You know
and
what I
you
mean?
know
Yeah.
what? I've
Yeah.
learned so much. I've learned a lot of terms that I
Yeah.
didn't know before.
Exactly.
And I'm
Hell
like,
yeah.
look at me. Like
Yeah.
I know what you guys are talking about
I
now.
understand.
In the
Yeah,
beginning,
yeah,
I was
so
like,
cool.
I don't know, but I'm gonna listen.
So what you guys are saying is there's no magic trick
No.
or anything,
No.
right? And
No.
so I
No.
because we get that question all the time, and there are some things specifically to business that have helped us work together. You know, one of those things is defining roles,
Yeah.
right? Like where in the beginning we were both doing everything,
Yeah.
and we both have really strong personalities, and our way is the best way. Her way is the best way,
Uh-huh, yeah.
right?
Very strong.
And so if we're both doing the same thing, we just end up bickering and fighting about everything.
When we're trying to
right?
go in the same direction. Like,
Right.
it doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
Yes.
So we had to take a step back, figure out what our passions were in real estate, and then figure out what we're good at, right? Like I'm good at things that she's not that good at, and vice versa.
Right.
And once we clearly defined those roles, that helped a lot, right? To be able to work together. But in the end, your relationship has to be solid
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
before for
Yeah.
anything
For
to
it
work.
to
Yes.
even work.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
And so when people ask that question to me, that is where I take it, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I love her. She's my best friend.
Yeah.
We agree on most things
Things in life,
because
yeah.
we had these conversations when we were dating. And
Conversations.
No,
like,
it was
Yeah.
the first
you know what I mean?
date.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
yeah.
first date was actually an interview. It wasn't even like
we were both like,
we were both like, I was like, do you have kids? What do you want? What is marriage like for
Yeah.
you? What is the male female role? Like listen,
Yeah.
I knew exactly what I wanted.
my
And
gosh.
If you check the box, let's
Yeah.
go on a second date. If you
Like
don't,
legit, that's like Jamie. Like we were dating, and he's like, "Look, listen, if I don't love you after a year, it's over." And I'm like, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
because you will.
Cards
Yeah.
on the table.
I'm
exactly,
saying.
all the
You
cards
know,
are on the table.
cards on the table.
Like, but
This
I
is the
think
real.
that set the foundation for our relationship.
Yes.
We knew exactly
Absolutely.
what
Yeah.
we were getting
Absolutely.
from the minute we spent time together.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Brute honesty, right? And
Yeah,
when you just
big
give it
time.
to them, like that's what I appreciate about her. Like she said, she can complain about me to me,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
And this being available for that, sometimes even though it's hard, we have a huge thing in our house that we even convey to our kids. Like you take responsibility for every action and every word that you say.
right.
You know, and there's no like blame in our house. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Audrey did this and Levi did that, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you know, what caused it and this and that. So
Yeah.
take
Right.
responsibility for what you're saying,
that.
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's been huge.
Yeah.
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 I feel like it's really there is no magic pill. It boils down to actually liking your spouse
Yeah, absolutely.
and communication.
And it's hard
Yeah.
work for anyone
Oh my
thinking like,
gosh.
"Oh, I'm so excited! Like this is great!" Like,
No.
FYI, you got to work hard at it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't just
Yeah.
happen.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No.
You
Yeah.
both have to put in 100%. You know that? Oh, you have to come 50. No,
No,
it's
it's
100%.
yeah.
Both
Yeah.
ends.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's
and
where
it's a
people
constant work too.
feel that weakness, right? Or that like breaking apart. Maybe it's when they get entitled to
Right.
to what's coming to them. Well, I already did all of this, so I should get
Yeah,
Right.
whatever,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And we noticed that at the core of every argument we've ever had, it's because I want something more,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
I should be getting whatever. I've
right,
waited long enough for, right? So anything that we've ever argued about, we have to stop and think like, hey, well, like what am I not giving you or
Yeah.
telling you or communicating to you, and then vice versa, right? And when we change that around, it forces us to like, oh yeah, I guess I was asking a little bit too much of you,
Right.
or I wanted too much of that situation, right?
Totally.
And it becomes like, well, that was really selfish.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah,
I
yeah.
shouldn't think like that.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
100%. Dude, we should do a
We should do
a marriage episode.
podcast.
A
It
marriage
should just be
There
a
we
marriage
go.
podcast.
Yeah.
episode.
Because it's one thing that I feel like a lot of people that are in business together, regardless of the business that they're doing, it's not with their spouse. And
Yeah.
a majority of our friends that are in real estate, they're like, how do I get my wife involved? Or
Yeah.
how do I, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, you don't get you don't
Yeah.
force your wife to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so, but it's a constant conversation that keeps coming
Yeah.
up. So maybe, if there's a need and people
Yeah.
ask, and
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Mark it down.
I mean, it's the same, like, we have, like, when we do coaching and we're talking to, like,
Yeah.
other creators, and
Yeah.
they're like, how do you guys do it? How do I get my husband to support me with what I'm doing? And it's the same thing,
Yeah.
like we
It
try to
comes
apply
down
the same
to we always tell them like, well, be consistent.
Yeah.
Because the action will communicate your intention. So you're
100%.
Yeah.
like, hey, if you tell him you want to do this, just do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
don't keep
Yeah.
telling him because
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
like
He's like,
he's
"All right."
listening.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We'll see.
You
I've
said
been
you
there.
wanted to do all of those
Right.
other things as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I
And when
mean?
she was starting all her businesses, I did the same. Right. I was just like, well, just do it then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, don't ask my permission.
Yeah.
Make it work. And if it
Yeah.
doesn't work, take responsibility for why. Like
Yeah.
if it didn't because you didn't want to really commit to it, then let yourself know that, let me know that, so we
Yeah.
can change directions, you
Totally.
know, be consistent
Totally.
with your words and your actions. So
Yep.
Yeah.
it's been crucial for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. So when are you guys coming back to Hawaii?
Oh, I don't know.
Like our goal is
Yeah.
like we want to come back at least like once a year, or
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, as often as we can afford it. That's
Yeah.
really what we, because this is always going to be home for us.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
It's funny that you say that and you've asked that, because like our goal since we left the island was like we would rather be off the island and miss it to be able to come back whenever we want than
Yeah.
be on the island wondering when we can ever leave
100%.
and just be trapped, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So like I
Right,
said,
right.
from the beginning, I've never wanted to be in situations where I don't have options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just always been to the extent of my knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm limited on my options because of my own knowledge, then it's like I better go learn something so I can get to that goal.
Totally.
So while we're there, it's been like, okay, if we have to make this amount of money to go visit home in this amount of time, then that's what we're working towards.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Totally. Yeah.
Because it's no longer like time. Like we can go really whenever.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
all comes
Yeah, yeah.
down
Box
to
one
Totally.
checked.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
always
yeah.
like, do I have
Aspect of it.
permission? Do I have the
Now
leave?
you have
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
freedom.
So-
now you're building towards this financial freedom.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, I know at dinner the other night, you said your goal is to have a footprint back home, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you're working towards that.
that.
Both of your
Yes.
businesses are working towards that.
Mhm.
And so, if we can help you out in any way
Yeah. Let me know.
achieving that goal,
Yeah.
let's frickin' do it.
Yeah.
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 Like
That'd be amazing.
honestly,
I know.
That'd be amazing.
there like for us relationships are so important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you know how when you like both of us after dinner the other night came home and we're like, holy crap, that was cool.
Oh,
like
that's
that was
awesome.
that was a
Yeah.
cool.
Well, we like just hanging out with normal people, dude.
Yeah,
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
I'm like, they're
Oh my
normal.
God.
They're normal.
We're just like hanging out with
They're
normal
normal. They
people.
have
but we have a lot in
their
common.
kids are
So
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
much.
So
it's when
we-
you find kin, you have to just keep them close.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I was saying.
100%.
Like when you find somebody
Yeah.
that you vibe with, like you just grow that relationship.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we're in similar fields, right?
For
Like
sure.
we're both into that real estate stuff. So if there's anything, bro, like
Yeah.
yep.
And,
That's
and
awesome.
we'll be hitting you up for Jacksonville, Florida.
Absolutely.
And then we want
Absolutely.
Jacksonville deals. So
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Coast to
absolutely.
coast.
Yes,
That's
let's
so
do it.
funny. Okay, so some closing up questions, I guess you can call them, is what has been the biggest challenge? And you can answer together or separately that you've had to overcome thus far. And can be in any area.
Go ahead.
Biggest challenge you've had to overcome.
Well, mine, of course, is just going to be leaving the W-2.
Dude,
Yeah.
That's
totally.
been the biggest. I was like on my knees at night, just like every night. Like, am I doing the right thing? Am I being a responsible steward of
Yeah.
whatever I have under
Right.
me, right? Be it my family, my finances, whatever. That fear is really what drove me forward to each next step. So that was definitely needed.
Yeah.
I think the fear was needed.
right.
But sometimes I don't wish it on anybody. Like,
Yeah.
oh my
No,
gosh. But at the
totally.
same time, I'm like, you need to just do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, get afraid of what you're gonna take on,
Yes.
but then
Totally.
take it on.
Yes.
You know?
Totally.
Like, don't let the fear
Totally.
stop you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Don't
I
stop
feel
you.
like I've said this before, like when talking, I don't know, at events or whatever, but you have to hold fear's hand almost
Yeah.
and just keep going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, the biggest challenge was actually learning new things without me, like, I'm so the type, like, once I learn something, I'm, like, set in my particular ways of how I learn
Yep.
certain things.
Yeah.
And I get, like, oh, I know how to do it. I know how to do it. But then I don't, like, go above and beyond to be like, no, now I can, like, master what I've learned.
Like expert
Because,
status.
yeah, because I'm, like, so comfortable in
Yeah.
how I do things already that when it comes to learning new things and stepping my boundaries of being in that uncomfortable state, I have a hard time doing that. And it's
Yeah.
something that I've been learning to, like, push through.
Yeah.
And I think that's my biggest challenge. But I mean, if you, like I said, if you don't push through those barriers, you're not gonna
Yeah.
get
Totally.
any better at doing what you're
I
doing.
I
So-
struggle with
Right.
that same thing.
Yeah.
So like I'm very much so am in that kind of zone. Normally what happens is like I'll start something and I get
He gets
like
really good at things
fairly good at
quickly.
it really quickly, but
Yeah.
I hate uncomfortable situations. Like just putting myself out there in some ways, like, dude, public speaking scares the crap out
Oh, I
of me.
hate that. And then
Like,
I have to go
and
speak
people
at an
ask
event
us, they're
on
like,
Sunday.
Yeah.
We want you to
Yeah.
speak, like get up on stage
Yeah.
and like we'll go up together, but it's always one of those things where I feel so like my heart's beating fast,
yes.
I'm sweaty palms,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Yes.
and then I get into it and then I'm like, okay, like in a rhythm and I go, and then when
Yeah.
I'm done,
You
I'm
feel
like,
great.
frick, like that was so good. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're hyped up,
awesome.
yeah?
Yeah.
That's so
And
cool.
it's just that whole thing about, dude, you have to be able to put yourself in those uncomfortable
It's to
situations.
keep saying
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even when you
And
don't.
so just
Yeah.
do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's
Yes.
but yeah, I'm so similar in that regard.
So if you could go back to the beginning of whatever journey you want to go back to the beginning on, would you do anything differently, or what's one thing you would do differently?
Honestly, for me, no.
Oh.
I think because without going through all the things that we did go through, we wouldn't have gone and learned and been where we're at. And I'm
Yeah.
really, really appreciative of all the things that we experienced. And I can even go back to saying, like, even when we had our first miscarriage and had to go through 4 years of infertility, you know, like I did like 14 rounds of IUI and all of like, I was on like every fertility drug possible.
Yeah.
And at the time I'm like looking at myself, I'm like, Lord, why me? Like,
Yeah.
like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Even though I didn't see like his plan, there was a plan.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
And you don't see it until you actually go through it. And
Yeah.
then you see the big picture and you're like, oh my gosh, that makes so
That
much
makes
sense.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I always look at everything from the past. And I'm like, there's a reason why that happened. And I've learned so much from it.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
100% I wouldn't go back.
Love that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just that going after the story, since we've experienced so many times like that,
Yeah.
where okay, let's move forward, even though it hurts or even though we're scared or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then we always look back and we're like, that was actually okay. Like, it's a good thing we went
Right.
through that,
Yeah.
right?
Right,
And so, like,
Yep.
doing that again and then doing it again and
Yeah.
doing it again. And you don't necessarily ever get numb to it. You're always
No.
still going to be scared. You're
Yeah.
always still, it's going to be the same situation, but like having not credibility, but I guess the history
Yeah.
Yeah.
of those things happening and this the Lord providing,
Yeah.
you know, for us.
Every
as
Like
way
believers.
through,
we
yeah.
grew so much. I think one of the things that always stuck with me was my friend told me, you know, when we moved off the island and all of these changes, that I would call her and be like, oh my gosh, like, you know, why do I feel like we're losing so much? Like we were on the island, and then we moved to Washington, we had this huge house, and then Jamey quits his job, and then we're now in Florida where we're not even making as much, and we don't even have as big of a house. And she's like, see, that's where you're wrong. And I was like, what? And she goes, even though you see it as like
As
you've
less,
lost like a lot, she's like, you've actually gained more in experience, and look at what you have around you. And I was just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like what the
Yeah.
heck?
I
Like
know.
insane.
From an outside perspective, like
Yeah.
having somebody watch that. And that was a thing for us too, though, because we took on content creating and then we felt like our life was kind of out there for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
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 I think being that we learned how to take responsibility of everything we were going to be doing, it made it that much more intense,
Yeah.
the accountability, you know, and just that, hey, maybe somebody's watching. We don't know how many people.
Totally.
Maybe it's just one.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in our discovery calls. Well, we like what you guys are doing because you're so much more authentic than we've ever seen from anyone else.
Totally.
And so those comments are proof that, like, even if there's one person watching, like, they can be witness to what authenticity looks like, and that
Yeah.
it's okay to be yourself, you know?
Totally.
Just
Totally.
drop the mic. I think that's a good way to end. No, but for real, I mean, like,
Yeah, yeah.
that speaks truth to so much.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
enough said. That'll hit someone for sure. You know?
Yeah.
That's
No, totally. So I want to say thank you so much.
I know.
First,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you
guys.
And
Seriously.
how can people find you? So like, what's your Instagram handle? Is there any other way
Yeah.
you want people
What's
to
the
find
best
you?
way for people to reach out?
Yeah, so you can find us on Instagram at We Are the Marcos. Just one word.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then real estate is just at it's.jamey with a Y, one word, 02.
O2.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll put those in the whatever bio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then next year when you guys come back,
Yes.
There you
then
go.
we'll have you back on
Yeah.
and you can tell us about what you're
Well,
doing.
we need
then.
to go up
Yeah.
to Florida.
Dude.
We're planning
Yeah,
on
yeah,
going
yeah,
up
we're
there
gonna.
sometime in the near future. So we'll hit you guys up.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See some
Absolutely.
Yeah.
houses in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Alright.
I looked. We were driving around Mililani, taking the kids to the pool and stuff. I was like, skip trace that house.
Yeah. There's a lot of bus
Yeah,
up houses.
yeah,
Yeah,
there is.
plenty.
Yeah, there's so
Plenty.
much.
Yeah.
Hawaii has so many of them.
So
Yeah.
many. Yeah.
Needs work.
Yeah.
Needs
Okay.
help. Yeah.
Well, right on, you guys.
Peace.
Awesome.
Aloha.
I'm blowing up like you thought I would. It's all good.